Welcome back. Well, I don't have to tell you this. We all know that our kids spend a whole lot of time on their phones, but I think most parents would probably be shocked to find out just how much time actually is spent using social media and how it also affects them. Dr. John Duffy is a clinical psychologist, national speaker, and author. He joins us today with what his young patients are saying about social media and what their parents need to know about it. Hey, Dr. Duffy.
Hi, Molly. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. Okay, I want you to finish this sentence. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. In your opinion, social media is?
Ooh, I need two answers. Social media is a great way for kids to connect with one another in a really positive, enjoyable way. Social media is potentially corrosive to the self-worth and self-esteem of our kids.
Oh, I
A mixed
see.
bag, Molly.
But I like the balance because you know what? As parents, we worry so much that sometimes we're afraid to acknowledge the positive aspects of, say, video games, for example, or social media. So I appreciate the fact that you said that, and I think it's going to be a little bit comforting to parents too. There's so much to talk about here. I was hoping that you could talk about what you think. So let's talk about the corrosive aspect and the effect it's having on kids. What is it about social media or what they're seeing that you think is so harmful?
Kids have this inclination, I think most of us do, to make upward social comparisons. In other words, they're not looking for people who have fewer followers than them or who seem to be going to less popular events. What they tend to do is look for this kind of confirmation bias data that suggests, like, I'm not good enough or I'm not as good as the other people surrounding me. And kids really internalize this into their senses of their feeling about themselves, their bodies, their personalities, the entirety of their self-worth is wrapped up, at least in part, in social media, especially, Molly, in the midst of a pandemic when their actual face-to-face social interactions are at least somewhat limited.
Yeah, and don't you think adults are that we do that too? I was going to say are guilty of, and I guess we shouldn't feel bad about it. The fact that the people compare themselves to other people who seem to be more successful, more attractive, more have more friends. It's something that we all probably could say we fall to sometimes with social media.
100%. I think you're absolutely spot on that we are really hard on ourselves about this when there's a fairly natural inclination. And the favor we can do ourselves is to take a step back from it once in a while. This is a cue I take from kids sometimes because kids recognize, oh, sometimes this is way too much for me. I'm going to take a week-long vacation from social media, as hard as that is, just because I need to clear my head and I need to find ways to feel better about myself because this just hurts too much sometimes.
Interesting and sad too. Okay, so you shared this New York Times article with me, which I found fascinating. TikTok getting a lot of attention lately, but in this case, young boys are posting videos sort of pretending to be gay, to be homosexual when they're in fact heterosexual. What's the point of it and what's your concern?
So it's kind of a mixed bag again because the point, partially, one might read as, and with some of my charges here, is true that these young heterosexual males are allowing for a little bit of gender fluidity. It suggests maybe some degree of support for the LGBTQ community that this group might not have shown in the past, but it is undeniably, Molly, also clickbait. In other words, people are responding to how provocative this is because they tend to be videos that are at least suggestively sexual in nature. And it makes me worry a little bit about what the next iteration of that is, if in fact we are having kids respond to sexual material with a lot of likes and responses.
Very provocative. I agree, and you're right. They're getting a lot of a lot of likes. They're getting a lot of attention. So, talk to us then about parents as we run out of time. What should we be restricting social media? It gets harder as kids get older, too, I think.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We do not want our kids on social media all the time, but we're in a pandemic. So I would say allow a little more time than normal. Make sure that your child is old enough and mature enough to manage all the emotional elements of social media. And for your younger kids, make sure that you have access to passwords and every single account, including the ones that are behind the primary accounts.
So when you say younger kids, is there any sort of kind of guide you can give us between what you call younger kids and older kids?
Yeah. So, I would love to tell you this is exactly the age we start. Really, you need to pay attention to the maturity level of your kids. Usually between 10 and 12 is a good time to start, keeping in mind that a lot of kids, their social lives right now revolve in large part around social media. Kids make plans not via texting, but via Snapchat or sometimes TikTok, and they engage a lot of the time via social media. So you don't want to take away all those in jokes and all those fun elements and all those memes from your kids. So allow them to start at fairly young ages, but keep tabs on what they're doing out there because it is a matter of health and safety and it can be dangerous at times.
Thank you so much, as always, for your perspective. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Molly.
Absolutely. And you can find Dr. Duffy's latest book, Parenting the New Teen in the Age of Anxiety, on his website. It's drjohnduffy.com.